This is Fourth Step Resentment Inventory, finding the truth about yourself. In past videos and articles I have done about Fourth Step Inventory, we have worked on the simplicity possible in doing your resentment inventory, fear inventory, and sex relations inventory. This video, the subsequent article, and the Fourth Step Resentment Inventory worksheet are a deeper dive into finding the truth about what is really keeping you blocked from spiritual growth and the sunlight of the Spirit. The purpose of this kind of inventory is an ongoing examination of ourselves that we don't need to rush through, but we can if we are in need of getting rid of some difficult things through hard times in our recovery. The reason why I have done this entire series on the Fourth Step Inventory is not only because I watch so many newcomers go out on it, but also for myself. I haven't been extremely public about something that happened last year, but I and Recovered on Purpose were scammed into a very difficult situation. My alcoholic and addicted head no longer go to using drugs and alcohol, but the resentments from that experience, coupled with some isolation and no step work, took me to a place where I was thinking about unaliving myself. There I was, 6 weeks after I had found out I was scammed, $100,000 in debt, a year of my life spent working with this guy that scammed me, sitting in a car pondering the process I would take to make sure my best friend and pup Enzo would be okay. I began to cry. Hard, before a thought came to my mind that this is not who I am or what I believe, and I know who to reach out to. So I texted my sponsor or spiritual advisor, along with my mentor I work with outside of recovery, and let them both know what was going on. My sponsor got me to write the stuff down in the way I am going to share with you. And the day I went up to his house to fifth step it with him, on my way to see him and before I even told him all the things, the resentments left me, my higher power was no longer blocked, and God began speaking clearly to me about why this had happened and the lesson I can learn from it. The step work still works for people like me, and I feel called to share this process with you, and I hope you have as many experiences through this work as I have. Pray first, then start. The first thing I do before starting my inventory is a quick prayer as simple as, God, show me the truth. I even write it at the top of the page I'm doing the inventory on, so I might accidentally read the prayer over and over. Bringing God or your higher power into this work first thing is a great habit to get in and something I have my sponsees remind me to do in our meetings if I happen to forget. Now for making a searching resentment inventory. The simplest way I have found to start this process is the same from our first fourth step inventory video and article. Make a list of the people, institutions, and principles who have harmed you or you are angry with. This part of the process can be done quickly, and as long as you do not intentionally leave anything out, the ones that come to front of mind will be sufficient to find what has you blocked. This can even be done on an ongoing basis with single resentments that may come up throughout your recovery journey. Now, let's continue with the cause. The cause of the resentment with this kind of resentment inventory is important to be very specific with. You can't say something like, my wife never gives me attention. Getting to a specific time, a specific place, and an experience you can remember having is how we will be able to continue with getting to the real cause of this resentment that doesn't have anything to do with this. Spoiler alert, you are in control of your resentments, whether you hold on to them and if you will continue life miserable like I was until you either relapse or the other thing. Instead of, my wife never gives me attention, your specific example could be something like, when I came home from work on Thursday, Trisha was on the phone and didn't come over to greet me and didn't talk to me for over an hour until I came over to her. In our last resentment inventory, I had you doing 19 words or less for the cause of your resentment because that's what they do in the book. This time, we are going to be going more in depth so you can continue to put down as many causes as you need and think of so we can get everything that has you blocked out of there. Now, for how these things are affecting your personal identity. In our last resentment inventory, you selected from a list whether this specific resentment affected your self-esteem, your pocketbook, your personal relationships, sex relationships, ambitions, pride, or security. Because that's what the book does. In this deep dive resentment inventory, we are going to go ahead and assume each of your resentments is affecting your identities within all these categories. Again, Before you start, quickly pray to find the truth and continue on with the questions below. First is self-esteem, or I am statements. Review your resentment inventory for one person, institution, or principle. Look at the causes you have written down and ask yourself what identity in you this is threatening. As an example from the one above with Trisha, not giving you enough attention when you came home from work, some identity statements you might have that feel threatened could be, I am a husband worth all my wife's attention, or I am a hard worker and a good provider, or I am a good-looking and sexy man. Notice how these are things a husband could believe about himself that are being threatened when his partner isn't giving him the attention he feels he deserves. Continue writing identity statements for this resentment until you feel you have finished. It could be 2, it could be 10. That is between you and God showing you the truth. Next is security, or I need statements. You have asked yourself about who you are that is being hurt or threatened in this resentment inventory. And now we are going to search for what these identities need to be okay. Examine the causes again and ask yourself what you need from this person, principle, or institution. You are not allowed to put something like, well, I don't need anything from them anymore. This is a searching moral inventory to find something new, and I promise it is worth the examination. The example from above with Trish could have something like, I need Trish to greet me every time I come home in order to be okay. Or, I need Trish to show me she desires sex from me in order to be okay. Or, I need Trish to be excited whenever I come home in order to be okay. Yes, you do need to put in order to be okay at the end of every security answer because it will help later to show you what has blocked you from God or your higher power. Now, your ambitions, or I want statements. You have your threatened identity, you've gotten down your needs you aren't getting fulfilled. Now we are going to continue with the future you desire for yourself you feel is threatened by this resentment. Go through the causes, maybe scan through the needs, and search your heart for what you want from this relationship, person, institution, or principle. Again, you can't say, I don't want anything from them, just perpetuating the thing that has you blocked from God. From the example above, your I want statements could be something like, I want a home where I am seen as the leader, or I want to feel emotionally safe when I come home, or I want Trish to jump on me when I get home so we can get to work on having kids. Whatever. Whatever your wants are for your future that are blocked from happening from the cause of this resentment, put them down. Next is personal relationships, or their identity always. For the sake of not causing a resentment in you from this video and article, I want to remind you this is an example. I don't know a Trish, I'm not married, and for the ladies out there, I'm single. Just kidding. Well, I am, but never mind. The part of this that we are going to get out here is a core belief within you about what the identity this person, principle, or institution is not living up to in your mind. Some examples could be boyfriends always, wives always, cops always, moms always, brothers always, best friends always, etc. Look at the role this person plays in your life, in your mind, and put down the things they are not living up to in that role for you. Examples for the one above could be, wives always greet their husbands and give them attention, or wives always submit to what the husband needs, or wives always smile and kiss their husbands when they see them. Again, examples are hard to come up with without a possible resentment, but if one comes up with me, talk to your sponsor about it. Now for sex relations, or men/women always. This part of the resentment inventory is very similar to the one before, and I'm not going to give examples for this one because you can catch the drift for this one and go over your sex identities with a sponsor. In this part, you are going to put down statements about this person's sex or gender that they are not living up to in your eyes. You will start the statements with real men always or real women always. I hope you see why I'm going to go ahead and skip through this one and leave it up to you. Now for your pocketbook, or the money or cost. This might be the simplest part. Put down exactly how much money this person or institution has cost you. If there's a principle that has cost you money, I'd be very interested in hearing that example from you because I couldn't think of one while coming up with this. You will be definite and exact in this part, and it could look something like this. Cost to book tickets, $150. Cost to the hotel, $160. Cost of gas, $20. Doing my inventory, priceless. How about we bring the strength and power of God into this now? Now that you have a deep resentment inventory on the things that have blocked you from God and the sunlight of the Spirit, take an hour to review this resentment inventory in a quiet place where you can discover anything God wants to tell you about it. Was there harm you caused that needs to be amended? Is there something God wants to tell you about you that might only come out now? After doing this, and while taking the hour with God and reviewing mine, I had some interesting new understandings about my fears, and I had never seen them before. And God began showing me truths about who He says I am, while I was reading all the things my mind said I was. Then, in between, to the side of, above, and below a lot of the things that had me blocked from hearing Him, I wrote down all the little truths He had showed me and whispered to me. Don't miss the opportunity to draw closer to your higher power through this process. And I hope to hear from you soon. Until then, don't let your fears and resentments drive you. Release what has you blocked from God and keep living recovered on purpose.